We came here to Earth to access our hidden powers. And some people aren't doing that. When people are led into wars, manufactured wars, they're entrapping their own soul. You know, it's like entrapment with dealing with law enforcement, there was some drug raid, entrapment. They're entrapping their own soul. When men prostitute their own morals and integrities and sell their time, sell their energy to live their lives as mercenaries. Generations after generations have suffered because of these mistakes that mankind and womankind continues to participate in. Womankind, we have the killers of this world and those that love them. We have those trapped into materialism that have confused the security of material wealth with the security of their own soul, of their own spirit. We're here on Earth in this playground, in this classroom. I want to compare it to the classroom that you came from. I want to compare it to your middle school, your high school. I would look at this as a whole different classroom that most people don't even suspect to be what it is. Even within the perspective that this is a prison planet, which I agree that this is. This is a prison planet. It's also a classroom. This is a place where we get to learn about certain things. We get to learn about cause and effect. I'm sharing with you my opinion now. I don't need to prove to you the facts. This classroom is a classroom where there are different souls in various levels of advancement. And this is more of an abstract idea than a linear. When it comes to advanced, some souls could be really advanced at one thing and really like pre-kindergarten level at another. Some people are really smart and they have no emotions, no emotional understanding, but they know how to build things. Then there are people that understand the world of emotions, thoughts, ideas, spirit. Hey, hand them a wrench and tell them to fix a car. Doesn't matter how simple it is to take off that radiator. If that's something that's new to them on a soul level, working with those types of tools, doesn't mean that they're not an evolved soul. It means that in this physical plane of reality, they're at a certain level. So we meet these different people in our lives that are at these different levels already of evolution. And it's abstract, it's not linear. That's the idea that I'm expressing to you now in nature. That we're at different levels, and be aware of it. Things aren't as they seem, things aren't black and white. There's a lot, though, that I think some souls came here to learn about cause and effect and what happens when you hurt other people and when you're stuck in this prison of the illusions of separation. Some people live their whole lives obsessing on the border. You know what I mean? The border issue, the border. Some people spend their whole lives obsessing on killing terrorists, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, seeing people from that part of the world as to blame for all their problems. So they find a way up here in their mind to justify the slaughter of millions of people, and others find a way to justify the fact that they keep their mouth shut about that. Oh, we're not Middle Eastern. We're Hispanic, we're white, we're black, we have our issues, they have their issues, you know what I mean? We're Americans, they're not. But there is something else going on throughout the world where white men have become the enemy, black people have become the enemy, Middle Eastern people have become the enemy. There's like all these different programs. And you know what? You see like a sophisticated mainstream media, mockingbird machine, well-oiled, well-financed, beautiful graphics, what some people think are beautiful women, not me. I see beyond that illusion. Using sex to sell propaganda happens every day. I would not recommend participating in it yourself. We need to keep our eyes, especially in this day and age, on internal beauty and real values. It doesn't even hurt my feelings anymore when people come to this channel and make comments about my eyebrows or my hair, because I know where their prejudice is really coming from. And I don't have to be a victim, because I don't have to identify with the limited understanding of who Alex Ansari is. For whatever reason, I chose to come to Earth during this time, And I do believe now at this point I picked my bloodline fusion between my parents. And to live during this day and age where a certain group of people on the planet would be venomously hated, removed from the planet, and meanwhile, most of the world would pretty much prefer not to talk about them or prefer to look at people from that part of the world as terrorists, continuously blamed for 9/11 repeatedly. I mean, you people, you viewers of the YouTube channel watch this in 2015. Most of you have lived through now a generation where a whole group of people has been violently removed from the planet and marginalized in a certain way. And some people think this is a healthy society, really. Some people want to argue and say that the only issue that matters is Black Lives Matters, or that the white race is being exterminated. There are people that are constantly saying this day and night that white people are being exterminated. You have certain websites that used to put out good information in the past that now spend most of their time race baiting. Even the world of InfoWars and Alex Jones, most of that is half their stories now in Propaganda Matrix sometimes is about Muslims raping European women. As if that's the proper context of what's really going on, as if they're really providing the whole story as to what's going on with the refugee experience, as if people are really being honest about this Russian deception. It wasn't right for the U.S. to go in and create this bogus war on terror because they manufactured an enemy. Now Russia gets to use the excuse of Islamic extremism to be involved in military operations around the world where they're sending troops, sending jets, bombing countries. Russia and China on the rise. Oh, but hey, it's ISIS. So they have the convenient excuse to rise. These are very dangerous times to be alive. But whatever comes about from this, remember, people warned you. Remember that there is a history of bankers profiting from both sides of a conflict. Remember the discussions we had about this archonic interference in human society to turn us against each other. Race against race, nation against nation, man against woman, woman against man. It's all unnatural. And what they're doing to the skies is unnatural. Whether some people have come to that awareness or not. But for those of you that have come to that awareness, never lose hope. Do not lose yourself in despair because your body, mind, and spirit may be poisoned. The only reason they're doing that is because your spirit is powerful indeed. That's why it's being done. Because our true nature is powerful, knowing, connected, capable. We're capable. We have tools. We have tools within us. We have tools within our consciousness. If we choose to access those aspects of our consciousness, if we can become clear and snap out of it, snap out of the trance, snap out of their control, their ability to control us. Also there's many reasons why people go off grid and go into nature, taking back our own power and getting away from the world that they dominate the most. It's very much connected. And it's something that our ancestors have done for many, many years. Those on the spiritual path, the shamanistic path, the Sufi path, the way of the seer. There's many ways to describe the path that many of our ancestors have chosen to take. Not most of them, but a minute majority. I would say that the majority of your ancestors, whoever you are, this has involved all races. So I can say this with confidence. Be you Hispanic, be you what one would call Caucasian, Black, or Middle Eastern, or Asian, various aspects of your roots with your ancestry. There is a lineage there in some cases where some of your ancestors talked about the unseen realms. Many of your ancestors lived off the grid in harmony with nature. Also, unfortunately, many of your ancestors have been led into the false religions. Many of your ancestors have been duped into war after war. Many of your ancestors have partaken in the unfortunate act of making slaves out of others. I say this with confidence because whatever your racial background is, be you white, be you Asian, be you Middle Eastern, be you Hispanic, most of your ancestors have been tapped into mass consciousness. It doesn't matter what race you are on the planet. This whole thing has been kind of created to set us against each other. We're in a modern Tower of Babel. Most people follow all races and all genders. And only A minority thinks for themselves. 99%, which makes the whole Occupy thing a whole little insane. 99% are not going in the right direction. That's how we got here. Any common sense, self-responsibility outlook on the situation of cause and effect would show us that apathy with regards to the actions of leaders, misleaders that have come and gone, the apathy of people, the voting, the continuous voting, these people into office, that's a reflection of human consciousness getting fooled over and over and over and allowing themselves to be in that pimp-ho relationship, that master-slave relationship. Let's conclude here. Earth is our playground. We learn about cause and effect. And in this prison planet, it's as if we're being quarantined. But when we evolve beyond, hurting other people, enslaving other people, succumbing to racism, putting people down because of where they're from, these are really evil things to partake in. And people that stay in that matrix stay in this type of a prison. And they don't understand why they keep coming back to this place. If someone wants to get outside the matrix, they have to stop being a slave to the matrix while they're in the matrix. And so the moment is now. Taking actions to where you're less dependent on energies outside of your own. To where you are being accountable for when you hold up a control system or fund it or are dependent on it. Self-accountability, being self-honest, and not thinking that we have to prop up our own ego and tell ourselves that we're already enlightened gods and goddesses. This is the trap that many people have found themselves in, declaring themselves conscious little gods and goddesses worthy of worship. So they spend their lives in the grid, in the city, living their lives less as evolved masters, more or less as energy parasites, or vampires, you can call them. No matter how beautiful they are, you could see the sadness. You could see the sadness today in those supposed beautiful people, wealthy people, affluent people in the city today. You could see the emptiness because they've sold an aspect of themselves. We have to take back those aspects of ourselves that we've given away. And when we take back our own power from those sources, we find ourselves sufficient, energetically sufficient, and how far you can actually take that theory of getting your energy from the sun, being able to live with less food, being able to affect reality with our thoughts. This is also very important. And that was the theme behind a recent video discussing grounding out those negative interferences in Costilla County, those angry war spirits, those mischievous spirits in San Luis, to literally start pushing them out. Because we have a right as spiritual beings on this planet to declare our space, to bless the environment, to ask the earth to help us, to ask the angels to help us. It's our right. I would say it's a divine right. And I would say it's our responsibility. It's part of evolving. We are here to help make the world a better place. And it's not about the end destination. It is about the journey. People get lost in this matrix. They put pressure on themselves to have all the answers and fix everything in this lifetime. I suspect that this is more of a string, this is beyond what we think it is. This expression of life that we're living, this earth, this fallen realm. It's also a beautiful realm, but a fallen realm. It's a realm that we live in. It's a classroom. And we are here to affect the world. And if we come here and we complete those tasks that may be specific to us, I believe that we can earn the right to live in a better realm, to live in a world that is not ruled by the archons.